Welcome. You're listening to The Kevin Illich Show.
Everyone, we're here with Tommy Harr, real estate investor extraordinary and influencer.
Yes, sir.
All of a sudden, man, it's been awesome to see that. So Tommy's helped us start our entire real estate business, whether he knows it or not. So I've known this dude for a long time. Do you remember playing sports together back in the day?
I do. It's crazy. Pickerington days. You playing Canal, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I thought.
You
Point
lefty,
guard basketball?
right?
Lefty.
Yeah, I can still remember. I remember you'd lead off.
Yep.
We played ball against each other.
Yep.
That's how I remember you.
For a long time. Mm-hmm. Long time.
Yeah, for sure, man. But it's good to have you, man.
Thanks, man.
Got a lot of things happening. You got a baby on the way.
Yes, sir.
Your business is growing like crazy.
Yep.
Team's growing.
Yep.
Traveling everywhere all the time.
Yep.
Did you think, however many years ago, that this is where you'd be in the business?
I always like to say on the real estate side, yes. On the social media side and let's call it the guru side, not as much. But I don't know. I had big dreams coming out of college, not knowing what I wanted to do, and I remember driving around being like, I'm gonna own a lot of property and make a lot of money, and just didn't know how it was gonna happen. But it happened after 7-8 years. I thought it was gonna be way faster, but finally.
I want to hear about your infamous first project because I feel like that'd be really helpful to anybody who ever wants to get into real estate.
Yes, real estate, you get into the business and everybody's like, you got to flip houses, you're going to make all this money, don't do it with your own money, it's awesome. So I was a home inspector at the time with my dad. So my dad's been a home inspector now for about 23 years, bought a franchise, 1 of 5 kids. I was always the oldest boy. So I was home inspecting, and my uncle was like, hey, let's invest in real estate together. I was like, okay, great, let's do it. Sounds amazing. So I didn't know what it was, so I was like, tell me more. So he put me on to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all that stuff, and he wanted me to invest in Chicago with him. Mm-hmm. So I was like, no, I can't. I'm going back to Columbus to work with my dad. So then I start doing inspections for investors and start to see people flipping and making money. I'm like, this is awesome. Let me go re-talk to Uncle Pete again. And
what year was this?
This was 2017.
Okay.
2017, and then so I was going to my I was driving to Nebraska from my parents' house because I was living in my parents' basement. Drove to Nebraska for an inspection training because that's where our corporate is.
Jeez.
So I drove out there. First of all, never make that drive. Anybody watching this? Ohio to Nebraska?
Iowa.
Horrible.
Don't know where you're at. Yeah.
The worst ever. And I was pulling out. This is a side note. I was pulling out. My brother it was a Prius, and I was pulling out, and I get on the highway. Cruise control doesn't work. So I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, why is cruise control not working? He's like, oh, yeah, Jake's buddy just wrecked it. It's not working. So I drove all the way to Nebraska. No cruise control. Horrible.
I only had to fill up once.
Exactly. So I stopped in Chicago on the way back, and I said, Uncle Pete, let's reconsider this, but let's do Columbus. So, okay, find a deal. We'll do it together. I'll fund it. You run the project. We'll do that thing. So after searching a while, and I was doing inspections, hard money draws. So I was meeting a lot of contractors. I was boots on the ground. It was great. Met one contractor who put me onto this house in Bexley. So anybody in Columbus watching this or listening to this, very, very affluent area, but it's in pockets. So you got South Bexley, Central, North.
But you didn't know that at the time.
I did not know that at the time. So it's very cliquey. And we bought a house in North Bexley up by the train tracks. When people say that, they're like, ooh, you're by the train tracks. I didn't know that. And I didn't know the fundamentals of real estate yet, really. So I bought a house. It was on a main road, double line road, right on a stoplight. Mm-hmm. So you're driving in. It's a main, busy, really the only light there. And 4,000 square foot, 6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, giant house, just 100 years old. Everything. And the layout was a little quirky. One side you had to go upstairs to go to the other side, like a wing to go to the other side. So it was a quirky house, smaller lot, all the things you don't want to do as a real estate investor. So I was living in it room to room. We bought it. We thought we were going to put $150 into it. We ended up spending $250. I lived in it with my buddy Mike. He was my soccer teammate in college.
So you lived in it while you were working on it?
Dude, it was so dumb.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It was great. Fortnite was as big as it was back then, and we were playing Fortnite. The only thing we had was we had Chipotle down the road, and he worked in a Mexican restaurant at the time, so he had Mexican food and this little pizza oven. So we had frozen pizzas, no hot water, no bed frames. We just had mattresses on the ground. I mean, it was just insane. So fast forward 18 months, we finally sold that house for about $100,000 loss, got it off the books. We thought we were going to sell it for $850. We sold it for $710. Just a whole lot of what not to do after that. So bounced back, moved back to my parents' basement. Was like, okay, let's not do that again. Let's figure out how to. That one hurt. So let's figure it out from there.
So you go through that loss with the family member.
Yeah.
I mean, what advice would you have to someone in that same situation now? Like, obviously you go back like, don't do it, but
yeah.
I'm sure you learned a lot.
It's not even the family side that was the bad part, you know? I mean, family side hurts. I mean, it was my sister's brother. I mean, that family, they got a little quirky for a little while. We're good now, but setting realistic expectations and buying a property that you can bite off and chew is really important. So if you're like Columbus, there's neighborhoods that are 1940s plus, 3-bed, 1-bath, boxy houses, like ARVs 180. You buy it for 100, you put 30 into it, you make 20. Like, that is an amazing first deal. Exactly. Just cut your teeth easy, get in and out. Very little risk, because you can also keep that as a rental property. Don't do the big ones. And then if you add the layer of family onto there, set expectation of who does what and what everybody's expecting. And that's even with family, business partners, anything in business.
So you did that, and you kept inspecting, or did you start flipping, wholesaling right away?
Yeah, so I inspected for probably 5 years. Nice. So I full-time inspected. My dad was a one-man show. So growing up, he had the inspection company, but I grew up he had another business, property preservation. Mm-hmm. So when the banks were foreclosing on everything, 07, 08, 09, the banks needed boots on the ground to trash houses out, board them up, change the locks, winterize them, and mow the lawns. So I grew up trashing out. I mean, dude, the areas of canal over like Gender Road over by World Harvest, I've been in at least half of those houses, all of them.
That was the foreclosure neighborhood.
That area of this side, like the east side over by Bryce Road, all those houses, bro. Like in downtown for sure. Like the areas near Children's, the worst. And I was mowing all those lawns, so I got to see now like the real side of real estate. That's kind of how my brand has come along, because that's really stuff that happened. People have lived that way. So I inspected for 5, maybe even 6 years. Built my dad's business, hired some employees. What's Eric's last name? He went to high school with you. So Eric hired him. So learned how to hire people, learn how to market, cause my dad did no marketing. He just did jobs when he was called. And if anybody here trying to run a business, that's not a business model. Right. Getting like referral business is good, but you need to drive consistent business. So it was my job to figure that out on my own. I didn't have anybody to turn to. I didn't have anything to learn from. So I just went, printed out flyers, and I went door to door to real estate agencies and asked them if I could get business. And a lot of time it was hell no. And Facebook messaging people.
Got our guy,
Yeah. And I mean, just you learn how to do it, how to not. Now, like building social media and stuff would help, but I'm just cutting your teeth and learning from there. So I did that for 5 years. And then after we sold the big house, I was like, okay, I feel like I know what I'm doing. I've been learning for 2 years. I've listened to every Bigger Pockets podcast. I know the concepts. I just need to try again. So at that time, and I don't need to tell this story a lot. You said you were going to get stuff out of me that you haven't heard.
I didn't even have to ask.
I helped my parents buy their first rental. So before I bought my first house, after that, I helped them buy their first. So the last foreclosure that we were trashing out, my buddy was trashing it out. It's over in Blacklick Estates, great little rental neighborhood. I was like, Dad, if this house comes up, we know the agent. Like, we know the REO agent this goes to. It's Jay Stanley with Howard Hanna. We knew it was going to him. I was like, we should ask him what it's going to come up at and what they'll take. So it came up at $80,000. It was pretty much almost turnkey. So we bought it for $85,000. I did a lot of the work in. I sanded down the floors. I painted the cabinets. We laid floors in the basement, and then I rented it out for I think $1,300. It appraised at $170. So did the first burr for them. No ownership, no nothing. I managed it, so I cut my teeth that way. And then over the next year, I helped them buy four more. So I was kind of their guinea pig, and they trusted me. My dad on that deal liquidated his 401k.
Wow.
And went all in. Bought the deal. It was like, I mean, looking back now, I was a 23-year-old idiot. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. Man. But I just knew that, there's only so many podcasts you can listen to. There's only so many books you can read. Like, I was like, dude, I got to do this. And then right around the same time, I bought my second flip. and made some money. And that was like, okay, this is it.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
So since then, you have a business partner now.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so I'll call it half-ass wholesaling. Can I curse on here? Okay.
Yeah.
Half-ass wholesaling, which a lot of people do. So they have got a full-time job and they don't have the time to dedicate to it. And wholesaling is, I wanted to wholesale. I was like, this is my way out. This is money. Like, this is great. I'm still poor, half in my parents' basement, half not, how do I get out of this wholesaling? So I was doing some texting. I had two, I'm not going to call them business partners. I had two people working with me before Andy. And I've never really told people that either, but like they were guys that I knew and they were helping me with text blasting. So I listened to a podcast and they were like, Lead Sherpa. This is a text blasting service. It's great. I was like, this is it. This is the one. This is it. So I was texting before anybody was really texting. Like right away bought it. And the leads were just insane. But I didn't know how to, I was scared to call. I was scared to do all these things. And looking back on those leads, I'd probably shit a brick. But learned that way, did a couple deals, and then Andy, now he had his high school best friend was his business partner. He was in car sales, and he had just recently quit to go all in on real estate. So him and his partner Jack had bought a couple rental properties, did a couple rehabs, but they weren't really aligned with how much they wanted to grow each. Jack was a little more conservative, Andy wanted to put his foot on the gas, and they were buying a duplex. I was the home inspector for it. And my buddy Terry, who actually refereed my wedding, he was selling it to Andy. And I didn't really know any of them that well at the time. But Terry, like, this isn't super local, but Terry, we like to have a good time. He was 20 minutes hungover, so we had time to hang out and talk and shoot the shit a little bit. Realized that we wanted the same things. Yep. And about 4 to 6 months later, after kind of just keeping in touch, we both had posted a couple of deals on like the Facebook groups. And we weren't getting much traction. We're like, hey, let's do this together. And he saw, like, he comes from a car background. So car sales, he owned car lots. He went bankrupt when he was 23. Not many people know that either. So he knew that side, and he knew it well. And I had the network. I knew I could sell the deal, and I knew I knew the home side of it. So we're like, you find it, I sell it. Let's partner. Let's go.
And it's worked out. You guys are killing it, man.
Yeah, we're doing pretty well.
But you're pretty public about this.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you posted your numbers even on your Instagram at the end of the year. You guys are just murdering it, making millions of dollars doing this real estate thing.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
It's awesome. And I think what people don't see is the years and years that it took to get to this point.
I mean, it took 2 years to make $1. Seriously, I mean, it took a long time to figure it out, but it's one of those things, once you learn it, nobody can take it away. It's in your head. Like, if you go all in, but you have the skill set, like, I'm not worried about, I mean, if I go under or bankrupt, I can do it again because nobody can take it from me.
Were you nervous to bring on a business partner?
At the time, it seemed like my only option because I was very indebted to my dad. Like I said, I'm the oldest boy. I had this deep down feeling, it took me a long time to get out of this, of like, I owe this to my family. My dad is an entrepreneur. My mom was a teacher right here in Canal Winchester for 15 years. You might have even had her in class. So they've given us everything. So he worked his ass off. I saw him get up at 4 a.m. every day, work till 10, but be at soccer games, all that stuff, and put us through college too. And I got a soccer scholarship, but I also had to pay 40%, and they paid for it. And Dayton is not a cheap school at all. So I see those bills, and it's like, okay, I owe you guys.
And like you said, you're one of five.
One of five.
So he worked his ass off.
And all of these kids went to college.
All Catholic colleges?
No.
Okay.
But nonetheless, expensive stuff. So just felt like it was my thing to do, and it still is my thing to do, but it's now a different vehicle. So my mom now works in my business. She's full time. She doesn't teach anymore. She's making 4 or 5x what she was and working way less, which is a really, really cool feeling.
God, did you ever think that happened?
No.
I mean, I know you've been doing this for a while, but still, you say it like you retired your mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure the amount of business you funneled to your dad, I mean, we use your dad's company 3-4 times a week.
Yeah, it's great. And it's also my dad. I mean, he's like, when you do that for so long and you work your ass off for 20 years straight, like, that's all you know. You get up and you work and you feel weird when you're not working. So this allowing my mom to make more money and have that, because he's always been the financial guy. She's been the health insurance. That was the only reason she did it. 5 kids, all athletes, injuries are expensive. So that when she now makes a couple $100,000 instead of 50, 60, 70, that takes a lot of the burden off of having to work every day. which is been really, really cool to see. They've been taking a little more vacations, relaxing a little bit. It's awesome to be that vehicle for your family.
Yeah, it's really cool to watch and inspiring. I think from our perspective, I think we draw a lot of parallels.
Yeah.
Like, as far as just admiring, my parents helped me get off the ground, and it bailed me out of a couple situations, I didn't have $100,000 loss, but I had a couple $30,000 losses, that it's amazing to have that support. But you talk about your family a lot and how close you are. You post about it all the time.
Yeah.
How does that help you in your business, and how does that help your motivation?
Yeah, I mean, it's good because, I mean, especially like when you find a wife alone, like you take away a lot of other variables. So just like my direct family, like me and my wife and a kid here soon, but like when you're not out chasing girls and like on dating apps, like you have much more time and mental headspace to focus on business. And she's amazing. She takes care. I mean, she's just the best. Mm-hmm. So and also happiness. There's a price to pay for happiness. She's very happy all the time. Even when I have a really bad day, I'll come home and she's just smiling. She's like, okay, it's not that bad. Mm-hmm. So that's that. And then also at the dinner table, we never talked about money growing up. Middle class, like work hard for everything, good work ethic, but never talked about money. A lot of those conversations, we don't have it to go do this or that, all that stuff. Very, very middle class, probably like you.
Yeah.
And now the dinner table conversations are much different. We talk about money. We're talking about real estate deals. We're talking about like real financial stuff, which is awesome. Like my little brother now, he's probably flipped 20 houses. He's 26. He made $35,000 today on a deal. I mean, and he's home inspecting with my dad still. And it's just really, really cool to see how things change. It just takes that one person to take the little bit of risk, figure it out, and then just pour it back into the family.
God, you need to be proud, man. That's incredible.
Yeah, super cool.
Ed Milet, you're the one.
Yeah, I always think about that. I mean, when he said that, it made a lot of sense. I was like, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I got a funny story about Ed Milet. I'll tell you off camera.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I will. But I want to talk about your wife. You guys are expecting a kid.
Yep.
Now, you have to be a little bit crazy to be married to an entrepreneur like you.
Yeah.
Not crazy,
very.
but you have to be willing to put up with crazy.
A lot.
So what was that process like? You're starting your business. I mean, how old were you when you got married? 28, 27?
Last year, so I was 27.
Okay, so 27 when you get married. What's that been like? What's that dynamic? Did she grow up around it? I mean,
no, her dad's a doctor. Her mom does not work anymore, but I don't know how she's a nurse, so she just has that caring aspect to her. And just from the very beginning, she got me. She DM'd me on Instagram, but it wasn't before this whole like guru thing happened. So it was kind of right. I attribute a lot to her of like when I met her, it started to go like this. Mm-hmm. Now we were wholesaling a decent amount. We were starting to learn it, but I was in my second house hack. I was still very much in the weeds, and she just understood. I don't know if I even like said it out loud expectation wise, but I was like, business is business. My phone rings. I got to answer. I expect you to be here for me and be my rock, like whatever it takes. Like if we got to go fly out tomorrow to wherever, you're coming with me. And she's just always been like, let's go.
That's awesome.
And it's been amazing.
Gosh, when you have that support behind you, jeez.
Yeah.
It gives me chills, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how much my wife's been through. It's just, it's wild. But when you do it together, it just makes all the difference in the world.
And the thing about also, I don't try to bring financial burden to the home either. So and that's also with team members and employees, it's like you have to act all the time like everything is perfect. Mm-hmm. You cannot because when they see the leader of either the house or the team freak out, they're going to freak out. Mm-hmm. So I've learned that you have to stay very level-headed. So having a business partner to freak out with every now and again is really, really good to like go offsite, have a beer, and just be like, hey, how the hell are we going to figure this out? We can't let these people know. We come back with a smile when you come in, but we got to figure this out.
Tell me a story. I want to hear one of those oh shit stories.
Okay. 2021 into 22, we were wholesaling a lot. We were making a lot of money, but the rates were low. And we were like, okay, let's start taking down some of these deals as rentals, which is great. So you'll see me on my Instagram tote. Oh, we've got 85 units. It's awesome. It's the best. Sometimes it's not the best. So we scaled up from like, I had maybe 10 units. He had maybe 5 or so. We bought 40 in 1 year. Mostly single family, small multis in there too. But we got debt on those properties. That's pretty good. but we weren't really tracking our numbers of how much we were keeping on refinances. So when the wholesaling goes like this: money comes in all the time, but we were buying those deals. So we were pulling private money, buying those deals, over rehabbing, not getting the LTVs that we needed. So we were keeping a lot of money in these deals, and we didn't know it. We were tracking it, but we weren't looking at it. So one day we we come to the office, and we had $0, no money at all. And I'm like, well, we were walking around saying we got all these millions of dollars of assets, like talking about we're cool. Where the fuck is our money? Where's the money? And we look at our spreadsheet, and we had like $500,000 stuck in deals. Because once you refinance, especially on a DSCR standpoint, like your prepayment penalties, you're locked in, and it becomes illiquid. So we're like, what do we do? This is terrifying. And he looks at me, and goes, I was bankrupt when I was 23. This was from cars. I signed a Cognovit note. I had 0 assets. I owed people a lot of money, and I had nothing to show for it. That is much scarier than we're at right now. We have real assets that we can leverage. We can figure it out. So I used my money relationships. I pulled private money from some of the equity on the properties, got the money out, paid those stuff off over time. But we figured out. But I remember sitting outside. We're at our office, and I was like, dude, this is bad. This is really, really bad. So we got to wholesale more. We got to flip more. We got to pull equity. We got to figure it out.
Now, we've had those times too, and it's like I've never learned more from any other experience from when my back's up against the wall 100%. Like that. And so I'm interested to know, selfishly, those rhythms that you have to get yourself out of those spots, do you still do those rhythms today?
Yeah.
Like as far as, okay, we got to wholesale more. We got to change the ratio of how many deals we move versus how many we take down. You're still doing that today.
Yeah, we're very realistic about, we're right now still we're wholesale first. We're flipping more too, but like everything inbound lead wise comes in, we're wholesale first because one, we hired a dispo. I was doing dispo for years, and it's really easy to half-ass dispo something and be like, oh, nobody wants to buy it, let's buy it. And you kind of give yourself a cop-out. But when somebody's their life is dependent on that money, you have to let them try and sell the deal. And then it also makes you more scrappy to go out and find deals from people like you or other wholesalers and realtors and all that stuff. So I want the flipping engine, but it can't be fed by my wholesaling engine all the time.
It's true. You're I don't know if it comes from the dispo side or whatever, but you're great at networking.
Yeah.
You know all the people, and everyone knows you.
Yeah.
And so where does that come from, and how's that helped from a tactile standpoint?
It came from the inspection side, really. So right when because remember I said I had no marketing, nothing. And the only thing I knew really how to do was just go out and talk to people because Bigger Pockets said go to real estate events. So I right away sponsored the Corey event, so the big real estate investing conference or whatever it is in Columbus, and I bought a booth, and I would just talk to people. And I would give because I wanted to see deals too, but I wanted to learn what the other people knew. But I also wanted to drive business for inspecting. So then I just met all the investors, kept going to all the events, and then as time went on, I was like, COVID happened. So COVID happened, and all the events shut down. And as things started to lighten up, I was like, nobody's throwing events. We got and everybody talked about going to events. We have to throw an event. So me and my buddies, we started throwing an event. It was huge. But it wasn't really what I wanted after a while. It was great. It was great but it just a lot of eating, a lot of drinking, a lot of loudness. So now we've switched it to half education, half networking, and really get people in there that want to learn and change. But that's been, it's amazing to be able to make a couple phone calls at a network like the deal we just did. My lender backed out the day of. You
didn't tell me that.
No, I didn't want to tell you that. But I was like, I'm going to figure it out. 420.
That's why we work with you, because I know you'll figure it out.
420 grand. It was 2 p.m. I texted him at 9. I said, is everything good to go? He's like, not yet. We're figuring it out. So 2 p.m. I was like, do I consider this, are we effed? He's like, yes. I make 3 phone calls. I had a friend of mine who I networked with, and I did inspections for him. He wired 420 grand that Monday. That day, actually, that Friday, to our account. Insane. Now I paid for it. I paid a decent amount of money for it, but still, that person trusts you enough to then go and give you almost $500,000, 30 minutes.
How long are you keeping his money for?
Oh, we already paid it out yesterday.
That's great. Yeah. But, it's like when you understand that that's how money moves and you build those relationships over time, you just never know when you're going to need it.
No. You always have to dig your well before you need it. Always, always, always.
And that's been something that I think with you guys specifically, we've learned from you, the amount of things you guys have in the fire, it's super impressive, and that you guys are always digging, always moving, posting on social media, getting private money lenders, doing all that stuff. It's like it's really how we modeled our entire business. Like, let's just do what Tommy does.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, it also helps when you have really good business partners. So I know you got Carter here. I mean, when you guys are on the same wavelength and you have people, I mean, we're all decently smart guys, but we're not geniuses.
No.
But when you have two people that are working together rowing in the same direction, you got some team members, I mean, it can really, really happen fast.
So speaking of your team members, building a team, what does Tommy Harr suck at?
Organization. Okay. I'm the most disorganized person in the world, and I've just accepted it now. I'm also not that good of a manager, so I'm not a good day-to-day operations guy. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm not a very good day-to-day trainer, but I'm good at like leading, and I'm good at showing people that I'm willing to put my money up and my name up for stuff that they believe in. So like if my acquisition guys, the only way, in my opinion, you get true autonomy within a business, not true autonomy, but you're not having to look over every single deal, is letting your acquisition team lock up a deal and saying you're going to buy it based off of what they say. Unless it's egregiously wrong. But I've bought deals that my team was like, this is a deal. I'm like, I don't think this is a deal. I've probably lost money doing that as well. But that's the only way they learn.
That's interesting. So like your first hires, or was it your business partner that really took over a lot of the organizational aspect?
He took over a lot of the day-to-day organization. And he luckily had been through all of his stuff that he went through. So the bankruptcy and working. I mean, I think I met when he was 29 or 30. He's 33, 34 now. So he had almost done with his bankruptcy. So almost 7 years of credit repair and just like going through hell. And he was like, he found personal development. He's like, this is what I want my life to look like. Let's build it this way so we can truly have a business that we don't have to be like slaves of.
Gosh, it's got to be good to have a partner that's been burnt before.
Yeah.
Because it's something you can't articulate.
No.
Everybody wants a piece of the business.
Yeah.
Everybody. Oh, you're winning. I want to do that with you.
Yeah.
Here's what I can offer. But to have that, like, you've been burnt.
Yeah.
You put it out there, and you've got the scars to
100%.
prove it. Like, you can trust that.
100%. And when we go to masterminds or events across the country, especially when you're getting into it, because everything seems like the best thing ever. And you start coming and you come back, and I'm like, dude, we should do this, this, this. And he's like, why? Well, this guy says it. It's like, okay, well, like, why is that guy doing it? And you just don't know. You don't know anybody's background. Like, it could just be they're saying bullshit. It's like, let's stay in our lane. Let's do what's working. Because every time we try to veer into something else, we end up getting burnt. And we talk about it like this, like, if you got so much going on. So we got like 5 or 6 businesses within one. And a lot of the times, it's us two working on 3 or 4 at a time. It's like a bucket. So you fill the water with bucket, or the bucket with water, and you got 2 hands here. There's holes everywhere. 4 holes.
Yeah.
And then everything starts falling out. So business starts going good here, starts going bad here. So you can only do so many things. And it takes time.
Makes total sense. What's an example of one of those things you thought would be the next, like, oh, we need to try that?
I invested a lot into crypto, trading. That wasn't even syndication. It was just derivatives trading. He's now locked up with the FBI.
There we go.
He owes me about $150,000 out of Columbus. His name's in the paper. So, yeah, Bitcoin trading, derivatives trading is huge. And, I lost about $150,000 doing that. So,
that burns.
My mom's watching this. She knows a little bit about that, but not the true figure. So, Mom, you now know.
There we go, Mom. The truth is out.
The truth is out.
The truth is out.
Yep.
Oh, that makes total sense. But, like, you have a kid on the way.
Yep.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I come from a big family. So, and my mom had my parents are mid 50s. My dad's now later 50s, but my older sister's 33. I'm 29 as of next month or 2 months. So we're all older. So they had kids when they were young, and I've seen that dynamic now. We go back. My dad was always able to play ball with me and all that stuff. So I wanted that same thing. And the first really day I met my wife, I was like, we're gonna have some babies together. Yeah, we're gonna make some babies.
Check that box.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, how do you feel like that's going to affect you in the business?
I don't know. Part of me thinks it's going to light another fire under me and go even harder, which I'm sure that's probably when it's going to be. Or I take a little bit of a step back and spend a lot of time with him. It's a boy, baby Beckham. But I think it's going to be just being way more intentional about that time. Because I do find myself at the office, like just being there to be there and say I'm there. because when you're only working for yourself, I mean, you're with yourself or your wife. I mean, there's not much else to do sometimes. But when you're choosing to be there over the other, then that's where the intentionality comes.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's an interesting. I found that it's very helpful.
Yeah,
like
how's it helped
lighting
you?
A fire? Like,
yeah,
it'll light a fire, baby. It really will. But you're gonna be great at it. Now, something I've picked up from your posts or just watching your life a little bit, you seem to be a really great friend. Where did that come from? And is that true?
I try to be. I think there's times I can be better. I'm bad about following up with old friends. I think as people go on in their life, they kind of let those old friendships that they haven't heard from in a long time kind of fade away. So I don't know. I kind of made a promise to myself that you got to be there for anybody you've said you've loved, unless they burned you. You got to be there for the biggest events of their life. So when they're getting married, when they have kids, bachelor party, whatever it is. So I made that promise to myself. And then I don't know. I like to be around people that love me too. And it's nice. I mean, I don't know. It's always been something that I've always been really social. I've always had a lot of friends, but people that you can call at any time and they can tell you they love you is something. It's something special.
You know, like when you do what we do, relationships are a lot of times tactical.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like I do it because I know I might need this at some point.
Yeah.
But it seems like, you know, I don't know if I saw this right or not, but like you've helped friends acquire rental properties and shown them that.
Yeah.
Guys you played soccer with in college or something, you're always out doing stuff. And like, how do you balance is it even hard for you to balance the tactical nature of building relationships because you know you might need them versus ones you need for your life?
I just try my hardest to not be transactional. Like if I go into something, it's like I'm not going to truly need this person. So if I have to sit there and act like I like somebody and bullshit through it, I'm just not going to talk to that person again. Even if unless it's like the biggest relationship of my life, I would rather make money with somebody that I like. And like, if you can't sit down and maybe have a beer or like have a cool conversation with me, I don't know if I want to do business with you. And like, you can just really feel that, like when people are transactional and they just want something out of you, it's really kind of easy to tell.
It's true. I think one thing that's been surprising about having any sort of success in this world is like, there's a lot of people that say they want it too, and that want to get close to you. So they hope that some sort of success rubs up, but they don't realize what it actually takes.
Yeah.
And not like it's this, you know, we're not fighting wars or anything over here, but, you know, there's a lot of just problem solving, big problems. You know, you're losing 30 grand on a property. All right, we were expecting to make 30. So how do we figure this one out? Yeah. Or hiring people or hiring the wrong person and having to go back and fix that problem. I don't know. It's interesting to see how relationships have changed. So your social media following, that's kind of popped off.
Yeah.
You're kind of famous, man.
Kind of famous. It's funny, and I waited to tell you this in too, by the way.
Just trying to be more like you. Like I said, just do what Tommy does. We good. Everybody I talk to, like I'll go out and whether I'm showing a house, and if they're in the investor world, they'll be like, "Yeah, you know, I watch this guy, Tommy. You know Tommy, Tommy Harr." I'm like, "Yeah, I know Tommy." And it's everybody says the best things about you, man. So what's that been like helping so many people?
It's been fun, man. I mean, it kind of came from the inspection side too. Everything kind of stems back there. I figured I had this knowledge that my dad was giving me that nobody else really had. So now giving that out has been cool because it's different than everybody's. Because I realized very, very quickly getting in the investor space, nobody knows about the houses, and like they're just relying on everybody else to tell them what's going on. So being able to help people actually get over that and be a self-sufficient real estate investor has been really, really cool. We got people now around the country that are like actually getting real success. Because I mean, people buy into stuff and courses and mentorships across the country, and then you hear they're like, "Man, it sucked. It was awful." And like these people are just great marketers. But I want to be a great marketer and also like truly help people. You got to be able to do both. Because at the end of the day, the way I thought about social media was when you start, this thing it's not going away. This is in perpetuity. And I'm the type of person that if I start something, I have to finish it. I can't just walk away from it because you see the people that post like really hard for a week or two, and then you don't hear from them for another month. It's like, okay, I got to go back to social media again. I sat down and I was like, this has to be a true decision I make. That if I do this, I post every day forever. So that's where I'm at with it. For the rest of my life.
You'd be in the delivery room like, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny. What was the first video you had that popped off?
It was the video about being a millionaire by the time I was 27. And I hate posting videos like that because I never want to like feel like I'm better than anybody. And I was like, you know what, Rob, let's just go out there and shoot this TikTok. Like, fucking, I've had this one on my mind. It's like, here's how I became a millionaire by the age of 27. And I was like, this is not what people think, because everybody thinks, oh, well, I did all these crazy things. It's like, well, the first thing I did is I became a home inspector. And I made $40 grand a year. And then it's like, oh, wow. Yeah. And then I used that $40 grand to house hack my first duplex. Okay. Then I did it again. And then I learned that, and I took that skill and learned to wholesale, started making money, and then I shoved that into some rental properties. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And that probably did almost 1 million views on TikTok. And I mean, when you have your first video, you're like always refreshing, like this is
it just keeps going up.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't really search for virality at all anymore. I don't look at my views really at all. Because, I mean, that's just another vanity metric that you're just going to keep chasing, and you're never going to be happy if that's what you're looking at.
You've been killing it, and your content's like, I'd say mostly instructional,
yeah.
maybe, if that's the right term. And then you started your education business, too.
Yeah.
So I remember when you first came out with it. Carter, I'm horrible. Like, I'll sign up for education stuff, and I won't go through it. So I'm like, Carter. Like, you nerd out on his stuff. What he's doing is working.
Yeah.
And you put out some amazing things. Is that because your mom's a teacher, or you just have this teaching knack?
She says yes.
Right.
So she's a teacher. It turns out my grandma's a teacher, and my aunt was a teacher. Yeah. So that side of the family, there are some teachers. So I do, and like especially when I'm speaking and like in front of people, I actually love that stuff. But the stuff before of like the back end, it's sometimes grueling. But when people are actually having success and like and people are engaged, that's actually fun.
Have you had a moment like with your community where you're like, wow, that was super cool that guy won? Because
I kind of had that yesterday a little bit. I was texting Andy because we have a lot of calls. I mean, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to be adding more. And I coached in a program before, and me and Andy were the ones that literally built it on the coaching side. And the people that were on there, they had no money. They were oversold. Nobody was doing any deals. Nobody turned their cameras on. And yesterday we had like 20 people on the call. Everybody I called on, it was accountability and Q&A. Everybody on that call has done a deal, are doing deals, and we're talking about like the problems that they're facing. I was like, that's fucking cool.
It's rare,
and it stems from social media. Because you're showing what real estate's actually like, and not driving around a Ferrari, and you're like, you can do this too. It all stems from the first point of contact, and it needs to be real and raw, and showing them that it's hard work to get here.
It's interesting. I didn't think you'd say that it'd be a Zoom call in everybody's engagement.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure you've been in a lot of different groups. That doesn't happen.
No.
I mean, everyone's cameras off. If they show up to the group, you pay thousands and thousands of dollars, sometimes up to $30,000, $40,000 to be a part of these things, and people aren't engaged.
No,
it's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, we told people to we ask, hey, we would really like for you to turn your cameras on, and I'll stop a call. I'll be like, or I'll just quit. But I've never done that. It's like, guys, if we're calling ourselves a community and we want to connect with each other, I gotta see your face, and I also gotta see your face. If I'm saying stuff and you hate it, I got to see that you hate it,
right?
Because this isn't in person, and it's much easier in person because you make people laugh, you make people smile, but it's much harder online.
No, you've been killing it. It's been awesome. I want to shift a little bit to like Tommy, personally, because I think everybody knows you kill it real estate wise, right? Everybody knows, you're where people go to learn everything about everything. But what about Tommy would surprise people if they knew about it?
Oh, man. I'm more of an introvert, I think, than people think. I'm not like this, I don't really love going out and making small talk and going to real estate events and like making these small I really can't stand those small conversations that is not going to go any further. And I actually get a little scared when I went and spoke at a big conference and other things. And when you don't know people, I kind of move off to a corner a little bit, and I'm like, I'm a little awkward at times, to be honest. So that's something that people would probably be like, what? That's crazy. Because usually if I'm in Columbus or coming to an event, I'm speaking in front of people. But it's much easier to speak about something you know very well, and you know the people.
Exactly.
So I would say that's something that people may not know.
So you're building this business, and you're rocking and rolling. What's on the dream list? Like, where do you hope this thing ends up? Other than, I want more people to be in the education program, and I'm going to have more rentals. Like, what's the goal for you?
The goal for me is like set my family up for never worrying about money, but there's a caveat to that, right? So as my son's born and I have kids, hopefully multiple kids, as generations make more money, me and my mom were talking about that. You still have to teach them the hard work and sacrifice that the generations before taught you. Mm-hmm. So the stuff that my dad showed me and working hard, and like I will probably do more hard labor when my son is born on houses than I have in the last 4, 5, 6 years, in a couple of years, to show him that, hey, this is hard work. You gotta get your hands dirty, and at the end of the day, like, this money's my money, not your money. Mm-hmm. Like, don't be a little asshole.
But why have you worked so hard? Because, obviously you just found out you were having a kid no more than a year ago. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've worked this hard to be this successful, this young. And I know you've done a lot with your family, but, like, what inside of you drives you to do that?
I like money. At the end of the day, I think people have this negative connotation of money being bad and working for money. It's like, if I want to work, I want to make a lot of money. Like, everybody's working regardless. I mean, why would I work my ass off to make $40,000 a year? Mm-hmm. I'm still like, money's not created equal. My mentor, Austin Rutherford, told me that years and years ago. He's like, you could be the best coal miner in the world. You can work 100 hours a week, but you're still not going to make more than $40,000 a year. Mm-hmm. But you can take that same work ethic and you can go be a real estate investor and you can make a couple million a year.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
So that's the way I thought about it, and but you still got to have that work ethic.
Put it in a different vehicle.
Yeah.
See how far it goes. What's the coolest thing that's happened to you as a result of your social media success?
Oh, man. Rob, what kind of cool stuff have we done? A lot of stuff. I mean, for social media.
So I think we got posted. I saw you do this at the same time. We got reposted on Bigger Pockets.
Okay.
Around the same time. That had been cool for you.
Yeah.
It's cool for me.
Dude, I remember
I'm like, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
They followed me on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, they only follow a couple thousand people. I remember where I was. I was in Big Sky, Montana. I was on a chairlift. I'm scrolling through my phone, and Bigger Pockets followed you. I was like, my friend's not even in real estate. I was like, dude, Bigger Pockets followed me. This is fucking crazy. He's like, what are you talking about? I know. Don't worry about it. Just the thing that changed my life.
Yep. I have the left fielder for the Minnesota Twins follows me too. That was a big day. Nice. But, Yeah,
I've got, cool. A lot of, I guess a cool thing would be like when professional athletes are coming to you for advice, which is crazy because everybody wants to be a professional athlete, but every professional athlete wants to also be an investor in real estate and all that stuff. So I get a lot of people like that reaching out, and sometimes some small scale celebrities too.
There we go. How many of them are private money lenders?
I have a decent amount of athletes that lend private money, like a guy that one of the biggest Columbus soccer stars to ever come out of Gahanna High School. He lends me money. He was homegrown to the crew, USA national team captain at one point. Lends me money. Pretty cool.
Well, it helps, man. You go to freaking NFL HS.
Yeah, you know? I mean, one of my best friends is Jake. One of my best friends is Jake Butt.
Yeah,
and just doing this for so long. The success. The proof is in the pudding. And I told myself, and I'd highly recommend anybody else doing the same thing. When you're in the beginning, don't take family and friends' money unless you absolutely need to. Because I would rather save a relationship than burn it with money.
Man,
it's very important.
That's good advice. What's one of the misconceptions about raising money that people who want to get in the game and are afraid to have those conversations? Yeah. What would you tell them?
2 things. Number one, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be cash in a bank account. It can be a cash equivalent. So 401ks, stock market, portfolios, life insurance policies, home equity lines of credit. Just learning how you can extract capital from there. And then 2, I heard this and it's very true. A lot of people know how to make a lot of money, but a lot of people don't know how to invest that money. So if you can like truly feel inside your heart that you're giving somebody this amazing opportunity to make, like if somebody's lending out of their 401k, they're making 6% max long term. And it's going like this. It's emotional. If you can give them 12 to 14%, you're double, tripling, quadrupling, compounding their 401k, their retirement. This is what everybody works for. This is what the dream is. So like give them the actual dream and like, and it's cooler too. It's fun. Like you can actually go see the house and be a part of it.
A lot of times it's the better place to be.
Yes.
in our position.
Yes.
It's like I paid a dude out. I think the first person who ever invested money with me, I paid him out $40,000 last year. And I might have broken even on the houses I did with him, and it doesn't matter. He gets his money back, and there's a trust factor that goes into it for sure. I mean, anytime you're investing that kind of money. But, I mean, it's amazing how when you broadcast both your success and your failures, like the money comes.
People trust you. But anybody watching this, you want to start social media, just document your journey, document the failures. Mm-hmm. People will love you and be raving fans if you just share that you're a human and you're like them. Mm-hmm. Like nobody wants to sit here and watch you. I mean, you have to show glimpses of the wins because you can't lose all the time. You have to win.
Like, you lost like $100,000 this week.
So you have to show the losses. And then to your point, I lost $30,000 on a house, I think last month. My lender, it took 16 months, made $50,000. $50,000. Yeah. But I shook their hand virtually and I said, "You're welcome."
Yeah.
And I let them know what happened just to show even more trust. It's like, next deal, let's make this. Let's do it. Let's try it again.
Let's try it again. Oh my gosh, what's the most amount of money an investor has with you?
Oh man,
an individual.
Probably 1.5 million. I would say 1 to 1.5, maybe close to 2.
I wanted to ask you too about this. Is it 8 unit?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? I think you posted about this quirky 8 unit
9
that you
unit.
bought. 9 unit.
We did just buy an 8 unit too, but the 9 unit is probably the one that I posted. Yeah.
Now, when you're thinking about investments for yourself, because I'm sure you're always weighing, okay, we move this deal, we take this deal down. It's just a long-term hold for us. You got the Airbnb business too. Mm-hmm. You got all these different exit opportunities. Are you honing in on that? Over 4 unit multifamily?
Not really. Those ones, if they fall in our lap, yes. That one, so it's an 8,500 square foot, 9 unit building, huge old property, and it's gone through a couple investors. It's kind of a little bit of it's like, I want to be the person to do it. A little bit of an ego play. But I mean, we got it for $400,000. And I mean, it probably needs 500, but it should be worth 1.2-ish when it's done. We can sell it. We can keep it. But no, I'm not actively going for those. If they drop in our lap or our community brings us stuff, maybe eventually we'll look into that stuff. But yeah.
How many employees do you have right now?
10, I think. 10 is we always have an intern or two in and out, so 10 or 11.
How's that been managing a team or having that expense on the business?
It's been fun managing the team. I mean, we played sports against each other our whole life. I mean, I come from soccer, baseball, and basketball background. Soccer's 11v11, baseball's 9v9, basketball's 5v5. I mean, you have to. It's teams, and you can't win if you have that one outfielder, that one right fielder is shitty. You're losing that game because they're hitting it right to the right fielder. Oh my gosh. So you gotta. I mean, everybody has to be on the same page, and it's just fun. I like seeing those like buy their first rental property or make 6 figures. I mean, it's really, really cool to be that vehicle to help them change their life.
Would you say that what's the best, there's all these different strategies to make money in real estate. You talk to people all the time, brand new. What do you tell them?
Wholesale. It's just lowest barrier to entry, but it also depends on your life situation. Like if you're watching this and you're a doctor and you're working 6 days a week, probably not. Private money lending is probably your best option. So you got to really figure out what strategy fits inside of your life and go with that. But anybody who's young, hungry, or even not as young, and you want to get out of your situation right now, quick, wholesale.
Mm-hmm. And this is what we just did. A deal made over $100,000. Yeah. Wholesale on a deal to you.
And I was happy as hell to pay it.
You're happy. We're happy. We're really happy. Yeah. And, it's like, for us, we started flipping. I think we talked about this off camera a little bit because it's sexy. Yeah. It's like, what are you talking about? I can go in and design this house, cool. Chip and Joanna, it could be them. And I can honestly say the best products we put out are all losers. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're all losers. Yeah. I did the custom glass in the shower. We were at that higher price point. We got one right now, in a great school district. I mean, man, this house is sweet. We switched the layout around, and we're losing $30,000 on it.
It's insane.
And these ones that we go in and they're, we basically wiped the cigarette tar off of the cabinets and popped up a Formica countertop on them, put new door handles in, sold it right away. Those are our best ones.
That's kind of our business model change right now. So, for example, we bought a deal Monday. It's Friday right now for $71,000 from a wholesaler. It needs work. We put it on the market for $110,000. We cleaned it out. We just got an offer cash $110,000 today. We could have put $50,000 into it. We could have put it on the market for $180,000, $190,000. We probably would have got it. We would have had a nitpicky inspection. Maybe would have fell out of contract couple times, once or twice, and you end up making $20,000 on that in that scenario. Whereas we're going to make $25,000 doing this. So that's the really cool thing about this, having access to capital and access to deal flow, is you can do whatever you want. So if I'm super aggressive buying right now, because if I know it's a deal and we can rehab it, I'm going to throw it on the market for 2 weeks, see if we get what we want. If not, I'm going to pull it while I build my scope and get my guys ready and do it.
We should write that down.
You should.
I want to do that.
You should definitely do that.
Never done that. It sounds like a great idea. But no, I think that I always tell people that ask me, it's like, if you want to get into this business and make houses beautiful, like, it's very honorable. Like, I love that. Yeah. But at least in my experience, those aren't the winners.
No.
They're not the winners. You can't be emotional about it.
No. I've been saying that kind of in some of the speeches I've been doing across the country. It's like, listen, I'm flipping houses as a means to an end, to take care of my family. This is not a creative outlet for me by any means. My houses, we have the same cabinets, we do the same floors, we do the same paint. It's boring. But boring businesses scale, and boring businesses win. I'm not flipping $100 million houses. I'm flipping $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 houses. It's
funny. We flipped a house one time with the partner. Horrible exit. And it was in Dublin, and it was like, we bought it to flip at like 510. We go in, renovate everything, and it had a cedar shake roof, needed replaced.
Nice.
But in between when we bought it, we're like, okay, it might kill us in the end, but we'll patch it now. In between when we bought it, when we sold it, there was wildfires in Canada. Remember when the smoke was all coming down? What ruined the inventory for this this material? And so the quote, to replace the whole thing on an 1,800 square foot house, was $60,000. I'm like, okay, we could eat that. The profit margins are good enough if we have to fix that during inspection. $180,000 to replace that roof. And
was it in like an HOA where you had to?
No, they didn't have to, but the inspectors come back saying the roof's, we got to fix this. Anyway, this lady ends up buying the house. We worked out a deal, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but she goes in and tears everything out and renovates the place again. And it's like, you just think you made the most beautiful thing in the world. I'm making videos about it. I put it on YouTube, whatever. Yeah. She goes in, rips all of it out, does it again.
That's insane.
And after that, I'm like, I don't give a rip.
No.
How creative I made this house.
No, it needs to be nice. I mean, you need to get a good layout. You need to figure that stuff out. But fixtures don't matter. Light, I get so many comments on that. Oh, you have the cheap lights or whatever in here. It's like, yes, that's the point, because the homeowners are going to change
from Amazon.
It. Yeah, everything's from Amazon.
Yep.
Fixture-wise.
Yep. No, it's an interesting world. I mean, it is nice to make things pretty every once in a while.
Yeah,
but it's not a good business plan.
No.
in my experience. So, for you, okay, what is the big selfish prize? What do you want to buy?
I've got a Corvette coming next week.
But you bought that already.
Yeah,
you bought it. What color?
It's like a green. It's different.
You got a picture of it?
Yeah, I'll show you it when we're done.
I want to see it.
It's sick.
Like an electric green?
No, it's not it's a very.
It's not gaudy.
No, it's like a army-ish green.
There we go.
It's really cool, and it's like, out of the 20, they just discontinued it. It's like 3 to 4% of people have ordered it. So I know I'm going to be the only person in Columbus with it. So I like that side of it. I don't know. Me and my wife, I like cars now, I think. I think having a Ferrari or something like that would just be sick.
There we go. You want newer stuff or classic resto mod stuff?
Newer.
I mean, not Ford Bronco resto mod.
No, it's not really my thing. I'm not a car geek. I like to just drive fast and look and it feel really cool.
Yeah. pull up to your, $150,000 flip.
That's right. Yeah, I mean,
suicide door.
I drive a Tesla, and I hardly even like to drive that to some of the areas that we flip in because it's a target. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, that's the person that owns the house. So I'll probably eventually buy a beater truck and drive that and keep it at my office. Mm-hmm. And when I go on appointments, just drive the truck.
Mm-hmm. No, it makes sense. So what's the next purchase?
I want a big house in Bexley.
There we go. Which section of Bexley?
Probably Central Bexley.
You're gonna rebuy the first house in Bexley,
Yeah, I want one of those. Like, there's a row of houses where like Schottensteins and like all the those big time names. Mm-hmm. They're really, really cool. Mm-hmm. So I want to own one of those.
So you're a city boy, man.
Yeah, I like being close to everything. And my parents are in Pickerington. I don't want to move back out to suburbs. Maybe kids will change me a little bit, but I don't want to have to. I want to like have the food of downtown and be able to get to my job relatively fast, stuff like that.
That's what DoorDash is for, bro.
That's right.
Yeah, we live in 2024. Like, you can live anywhere, man.
You're right.
No, that's cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. Anything? I know you got your community, your real estate community, and it's affordable, man. I mean, people want to learn about how to flip houses, how to break in, and what do they got to do? Where do they got to go? Yeah,
so hit me up on Instagram, TommyHarr05, or realsidecommunity.com. I mean, we're just normal Midwest dudes making extraordinary wealth. We're helping people from across the country change their lives through wholesaling and flipping. We're going to add rental property stuff to that by the end of the year probably. And it's just without all the noise and riffraff. It's true like systems, processes, and a lot of it's not that sexy, but it works.
It works. That's what matters, man.
That's what matters.
Making the money.
That's right.
Appreciate you, dude.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
It's been a long time coming.
Absolutely. Until next time.